this is Sandra, and this is a very special tutorial for how to do the embroidery on the Bougainvillea's top. Now this is my Bougainvillea's top and I really like it. I love the fit. It's nice and airy, very loose. It's got loads and loads of positive ease and it looks good on everyone. This kind of garment is just so good. And it was inspired by a Mexican garment called a huipil. And the huipil is, I'm going to put a picture over here so you can see it. It has this similar kind of yoke construction and they usually have loads of embroidery around it. Now I didn't want to go too crazy with this one, with the embroidery, but I do want to add a little something to it. So today we're going to do a little tutorial on how to do embroidery on the crochet yoke of your Bougainvillea's top. Now the design that I've chosen for the embroidery is just optional. Like if you want to get creative and do something completely different, it's really all up to you. Alright, so what are you going to need for this? You're going to need quite a few things. You're going to need obviously your top, or wherever, if you want to do this embroidery on something else, whatever it is that you're going to do the embroidery on. You're going to need a tapestry needle like this one. So these are like the ones that we use to weave in the ends of a project at the end of it. Doesn't have to be very special, but if it's pointy, it's better that way. Now this is if you're going to be embroidering with yarn. If you're going to be using a thread, then obviously use a thread needle. And then you want to use yarn of different colors that are in high contrast with this. So I've chosen this blue, I've chosen yellow, this is a soft pink. You can't really see that color very well on this screen, unfortunately. And I have a nice green here. Again, this green is a lot prettier than what you can see on this screen. I apologize for that. So these are the colors that I've chosen. I have some little snippy scissors and I'm using my lip balm to use the circle as a reference for the size of the flower. So I think this size is a pretty good size for the bigger flowers, so that's what I'm going to use as a reference. If you have a large coin or maybe a small bottle, I have this little wash here that, you know, this is a nice size circle as well. Whatever you think is best, then go with that. And then online I've gone, and you can go down here on the description, I've put links to all of these things, but I've gone to the DMC website and I've downloaded some free embroidery patterns, and this is the one that I like the most. So I have this wreath, I guess it's called, and I've chosen this little cluster of flowers to be the one that I'm going to put right here. Now the reason why I'm using this is because yes, I'm a creative person, but drawing is not my forte, and just like imagining these things from scratch seems quite a big effort for me. So I'd rather, you know, get some help. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you don't love this one, then there's loads of really pretty designs. I just literally googled free embroidery flower motif and I got loads of them. So there's this one too that I really liked, but I felt like this one was a little bit too complicated and too small. So I went with this one. And the good thing about these DMC ones, and no, they are not sponsoring this video at all, I just liked it, is that it comes with very cool instructions. So it shows you the different flowers and it shows you which stitch to use on each one, and it has a little tiny tutorial for those stitches. So I am not an embroidery expert. I've done quite a bit of embroidery in my life, but not that much. And I needed help to remember how to do all these things. So obviously me giving you this tutorial is just how I do things in a simple way, as a crocheter, as a knitter, and as a general maker. And hopefully you will appreciate it and use it for your own Bougainvillea's top. Alright, so let's get started. You will also need a pen of some sorts or something to mark on your work. Now I have this pen that I use for sewing. This one disappears when you put heat to it, which is really handy. If you don't have something like this, then maybe try to find a pencil or something that will be easily erased later on, or that is neat and tiny enough that you can cover it with thread later on, just to give you an idea of where you're going to do your flowers and yeah, So just so you don't get completely lost while you are doing the embroidery. All right, so let's get started. All right, so I've cut down my little motif and I've made sure that my top is with the right side out. And I've just cut this to give me an idea of kind of the positioning. I feel like these flowers are slightly too small than what I like. So this is my little swatch that I've made. And as you can see, this is with yarn and this is with thread. And I like it with yarn more. And I think that these flowers are just a little bit too small. So I'm going to try to make them a little bit bigger on my top. Now this is a lot bigger than these flowers, and I'm not sure that's gonna work out. So I'm going to use something a little bit smaller. And I think this lid will be just fine for what I want. So just giving myself an idea of where to put him. I'm gonna do the first flower right here. And I'm using this regular pen because my yarn is just so dark that I can't see whenever I use the other pen. It's just not very good. So unfortunately this one will not erase very easily, so I will do my best to cover it up with yarn as much as I can. And then I'm going to put the other flower kind of in the center at the same level around there. I think so. That's about right, right? Now, yeah, this is super improvised. I mean, if you are a little bit more perfectionist, then you might want to do this a little bit differently. But I like to just have an idea of where things go. So we're going to start with the rose. And I'm going to grab some pins to help me mark it. And I'm going to put 5 points on it. And then I want to find the middle as well. And then I'm going to thread some yarn through my needle. How much really just depends on how big your flowers are, and I prefer to have too much than too little. And you're just going to make a little knot at the end. Okay, I'm going to cut the tail off. All right. Now we're going to come from the back. It's a little tricky because these ones are going to come off. But that's all right, as long as you have an idea of where they go. There. And I'm going to start in the center. I'm going to pull my way up around there. And I'm going to pull my thread through. Now here's getting knotted up. That's all right. Just pull through. And make sure that when you're pulling through the middle, you are not in the middle of a stitch. So, you know, you have those pretty big gaps in between stitches. So go through some yarn. And then we're going to go at one of those 5 points. These are too close together. No, they're okay. And we're going to go to this one, and I can remove the pin. And then I'm going to come out at another point. So this one, and pull my needle through and take off the pin. And then go to the center again. And then I go to the next one and take off the pin. And I'll do that for every pin. Now the idea here is that these 5 points are as even as possible. They're not exactly the same size, but that's all right. It's not going to be a big deal. And we're going to come close to the middle out here. Okay, and now we're going to do a pattern where we skip one side and we go underneath the next one. And we keep going around. Skip one, go under the next one. Skip one, go under the next one. Skip one, under the next one. And as you can see, I'm going through with the back of my needle. That's so that it's easier to go through it, because if I go with the pointy bit, then I'm just going to go through my fabric and it's going to get complicated. All right, skip one, underneath the next one. And I keep going around and around until my rose is complete. As it starts getting fuller, you might need to hold on to it so it doesn't tighten too much, and that will keep it less 3D-ish, and it'll also make it so that you finish today because I think you could continue to do this for ages. All right, I think I'm happy with that. So I'm going to just go in at the next leg and pull my needle through. Now I'm going to do a couple of French notes in the middle just for added texture. So you pull your needle out at the middle. Now this is a very, very fun stitch. You grab your needle and then you wrap the yarn around it 2 times. So this is a pointy end, okay? And then you stick it in and keep it taut a little bit. And while keeping it tight, so without letting go, you pull your needle through. And there you go. You've got a little French knot. So we're gonna do it one more time, maybe 2 more times. Okay. Pointy bit, 1, 2, maybe 3 if you want to make it a little bigger. Keep it taut and pull through. And I'm going to do 1 more. And that's it. We finished the rose. And at the back, you're just going to fasten off. And I'm going to leave a tail so I can weave that in later on, but not too long. So it doesn't get too much in my way. All right, and then we're going to do the next flower, and then we're going to do the other bits, okay? So for my next flower, I can see the circle right there. For this one, I'm going to use yellow. Again, how much you do is really up to you, but you really don't want to run out of yarn. The way I like to knot it is by wrapping it around my finger 2 times. And then when I pull through, I just have to do it a little bit slowly so that they pull at the same time, those 2 loops, and that's it. You have a nice thick knot. Okay. So the next one uses a stitch called Lazy Daisy. And that's a really cool stitch because it's so easy. All right, so we're going to pull through close to the middle, but not exactly in the middle. A little bit to the side. And then we're going to go back in the same spot, but without pulling all the way through, we're going to come out at the end of where we want the petal to be. There you go. And then we go down again where we came in. Now, this is a little bit annoying. Okay. If you're like me and you don't want to weave in your ends until the end, but you also don't want them to get in your way, a little bit of tape can go a long way. So I'm just going to pop this on here to try to keep it out of the way. All right, and we're gonna come out a little bit to the side of that petal, and we're just gonna make petals all around. So starting close to the center, and you can kind of see the line there. It's not super clear, but I can see it enough to give me an idea of where I want my petals to be at. I come out and I make sure that I am inside that loop. And go back in at the center. Go in around the same place and out at the top of the petal. Make sure that I am wrapping that loop. Okay. And in again. Okay, now if I think that my petal is too tight, I can always adjust by pulling up a little more yarn, and there you go. There you go. Okay, keep going all around. All right, so as you can see there, I think I missed a petal there, so I'm just gonna go back and fill it in. Now there's no rule about going back. You know, just make sure that your flower looks the way you want it to look. You don't have to have a certain amount of petals. So this is the way my flower looks at the moment. And now that it's like this, you know, I can adjust it a little bit. I'm gonna make this one a little bit fatter. There you go. And now I'm gonna make some French knots in the middle, just to make it look a little bit more exciting. And just like before, 1, 2, and 3. You can do it with 2 loops or 3 loops. Hold on to it and pull. I think I'm happy with this one. This one's a little bit too skinny for my liking for some reason. There you go. Okay. Now that I have my flower, I'm just going to fasten off at the back. And weave in the tail. All right, so I have my 2 main flowers. Now let's look at the design. Here I have a little tiny flower. I need some leaves, and I have another flower and another rose. So the roses you know how to make. This one is the same as this one, but just a little smaller. So I'm going to show you how to make this little one. And I'm going to make one right there. And that one is going to be pink. So I'm going to go in through the back where I want the center of my flower to be. And before that, I'm just going to put another piece of tape over here to keep this thread out of the way. Okay, so again, this is just completely improvised. And I'm going to go through there as my middle. Okay, and I'm going to do lots of lazy daisies all around it. but they're all going to start in the same spot. Okay, the center is going to be in the same place every time. All right, so I'm gonna make another rose over here. Let me see my little drawing. Yep, I'm gonna make another rose over here, and then I'm gonna make another little flower over here, and then we'll head to the leaves. All right, so this is what it looks like so far. I really like it the way it is, but it does look a little bit lonely just like this. So we're gonna put some leaves. I'm gonna put one on this side, and I'm gonna put one on this side, kind of looking downwards, I think. And this one's gonna kind of look to this side, and I'm gonna put one more over here, kind of looking downwards as well. It's good to know where you're going to start and kind of have an idea of the direction for this stitch. So I'm going to draw it. There's a very neat trick for a knot that I learned that I would like to share with you. So if you hold your needle, this is a pointy bit, hold it like this with the end over here of the thread, and then you wrap the yarn or the thread around 2 or 3 times. Then you hold on to it with your left hand and pull the needle through while still holding on to it. At the end, you end up with a very cool knot. And then you can cut that off, and we're ready to go. Okay, so you're going to start at the very, very tip of the leaf, wherever that is for you. That's it for me. And you're going to come down into the leaf at the center. Okay. Then you come to the left, following the curve of the leaf. Then you enter on the other side. But before all of your thread is through, you come out underneath that first line and you pull through. And then you go back in there a little bit lower. And you repeat that over and over again, following the curve of the leaf. All right, and there is your one leaf. And I'm going to repeat that process over here and over here. And I'll show you what it looks like at the end. All right, so this is what it's looking like so far, and I really like it. I think it's super cute. It does look still a little bit empty, so what I'm going to do is just do a little, like little French knots, just to kind of imitate this idea of like little dots all around. And for that, I think I'm going to use the white. I'm not 100% sure it's going to work out, but I thought I would try. I'll make a few down here first. Well, let's start here. And because this is only attached by a tiny knot, I'm just gonna do an extra tightening. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3, and I go in, keeping this taut, And boom. Yeah, I like it. And I can do a few more of these around. And there you go. And that's that. You've got a nice little embroidered top. I think it's super cute. I really like, whoopsie. I really like how it's just such a simple add-on, but it makes such a big difference. And I hope you've enjoyed doing a little bit of embroidery with me. Remember that this is totally customizable if you feel like the balance isn't right and you want to add more flowers, if you want to keep going all around the yoke. I mean, that's really all up to you, right? How many flowers you put on. So I hope you're having fun. I hope you continue having fun with this top. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and buy all my patterns. Yeah, you can find this pattern, the pattern for this top, for free on the website, or you can purchase the very affordable PDF that gives you access to the full video tutorial on my website as well. So I'm going to put links down there for you, and thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.